Hi, I'm Oli Kortsch, and with me is Michael Kuma from the International Monetary Fund, where he's a researcher. We're here in Washington, D.C., and want to look at some more issues. IMF?
Yes, I need to preface what I say here with a disclaimer. I'm a researcher at the International Monetary Fund. I have produced working papers on the questions that we are discussing. These working papers are purely research. They do not in any sense represent an official position of the IMF on any policy questions. This needs to be emphasized up front. This is purely about research and about the research papers that I have produced.
All right. Let's talk about investments and savings. I mean, a standard line that I get, especially for the developing world, is, well, they don't have enough investments because they don't have any savings, and this is why they just can't go forward. So how in the world does that work?
Yeah, there's a very popular and incorrect notion out there that saving finances investment, and that saving needs to come before investment. In fact, the exact opposite is true. And first of all, when we discuss this question, we need to be very clear about what we mean by saving. By saving, we mean macroeconomic saving, which is essentially, very simplifying here, but it's output minus consumption, minus government spending. Right? And this is a magnitude that is produced in the national accounts as a residual. It is computed in the national accounts as a residual. And that residual, by definition, is exactly equal in a closed economy. If you abstract from anything to do with open economies, just to keep it simple here for now, then saving is equal to investment by definition. The mistake that is often made in debates is to say that it is equal to investment as some sort of equilibrium condition, where prices such as interest rates will have to adjust so that saving is equal to investment, and that saving has to come before investment. And that is actually incorrect. It's just a definition, meaning no matter what the price is, saving is always equal to investment. Equilibrium or not, it is always equal to investment. It's just the definition. Okay? Now, so there we're really talking about bookkeeping. We're not talking about economics. Once we start talking about economics, then we have to say what actually happens when investment and saving happens. And the easiest way to think about this, but it's much more general, but the easiest way to think about it is to think about it in the context of investment that is financed by a bank loan. Right? And let's say for simplicity it's entirely financed by a bank loan. That will in general not be true, but it doesn't, we just want to get at the principles here. So somebody comes into the bank and wants to finance an investment. Meaning, let's say he wants to buy a machine for $1 million, and that machine would then be producing useful stuff. Now, as we already said in one previous video that we produced here, is that when this guy comes to the bank does not have some accumulated savings sitting somewhere that it can give to him. What it will give to him, if it decides that this is a transaction on which the bank makes an adequate profit and has adequately low risk, what it will give to him is a newly created bank deposit. It will create a loan for him of $1 million, and it will at the same time create a deposit for him of $1 million. He can then take that deposit of $1 million, go to the person who produces the machines, and transfer that deposit to that other person. What has happened here is that the bank has financed the investment. Financing has nothing to do with giving this person some real resources that he can use in order to acquire the machine. Financing has something to do with giving that person money. And there is, in the policy debate out there, very often a confusion out there that needs to be addressed, that money and real resources are not the same thing. And the banks are not at all involved in the business of real resources. They are involved in the business of creating the money that people can then use in order to buy and sell real resources among themselves. Nothing to do with the bank. The bank is only responsible for creating purchasing power, and the purchasing power is of course essential. Money is very essential for people to be able to buy and sell stuff, and typically that money is produced as a bank deposit via the creation of a bank loan.
Okay.
Now, yeah.
No, go.
Yeah. So this bank deposit is now created, and it is this bank deposit that allows the investment to go ahead. This guy, for some reason, didn't have enough funds of his own. He had a good business proposition, so...
Okay, that's the point I was going to get to. So when we say in a developing economy, for instance, there's not enough investment or not enough savings, what we're really saying is there are not enough good business propositions.
Yes.
That's really the issue.
Could be the issue, right? Or we could be saying that there are not enough good business propositions that people can actually realize because they get the financing that is necessary in order to realize them. It could be that the financial system isn't functioning very well,
Yes.
that the banks are very risk averse, that they only go for very low risk propositions when they make loans. And so the people who are willing to take risks on a real business and buy some real machines and do something with them, they don't get enough loans from banks. That could be one of the, that is sometimes one of the problems. Okay, so there could be enough good business propositions, but so the real economy in particular might have a good spectrum of opportunities available, but the financial system of this particular country might not be in a position to actually let people realize that. But the essential thing that you now need to realize is that this guy has now obtained a bank loan and goes ahead and buys this machine without anyone in this economy having made a decision, oh, I am going to save. And once I save, somebody else will be able to make an investment. That's not happening at all. What is happening is that the bank says, I am going to finance this guy, and somebody then says, oh yeah, I am willing to accept this deposit in payment for this machine. That's all that is required. Somebody needs to be able to say, well, this bank deposit is good for me, I'm going to accept it and sell this guy the machine. Once this machine is sold and this other guy sits on the bank deposit, suddenly we have saving. Because, as I explained at the beginning, saving is equal to investment by definition. Once the investment has happened, once it has been financed, there is saving by definition, because that's just an accounting quantity. What is the concrete manifestation of this saving in the economy here, in this particular example? Well, it's that deposit that this other guy is now sitting on. He's now sitting on a deposit and he has become a saver. But he didn't intend to become a saver.
Right.
His only intention was, I'm going to sell a machine and I'm going to accept bank deposits in payment for the machine. Which, you know, that's what you do, right? When you're in business, you accept bank deposits in payment for what you produce. Okay? What has generated the saving is a good investment proposition and a bank that was willing to say, okay, we're going to finance this investment proposition. The saving comes afterwards. The saving is a consequence of all this. And that's a very general proposition. It is true when you think about bank finance investment, but I could tell you similar stories if we had another 10 minutes, if it was financed in some other way, or if it was actually just, if the investment was actually just carried out by somebody out of his own resources. Right. It is always, the investment comes first, and the saving is just a consequence.
Hey, this is great. Thanks ever so much, Michael.